What's up, y'all? Welcome back to HRT. I'm very excited for this week's episode because it's pre-recorded. What's today? Today is November 19th, and you will be seeing this on December 12th, I think. I'm going away, so I will be probably in the middle of the ocean when you're seeing this. Um, and it's also very exciting because I have Nate from episode 23 helping me out today, acting as my co-host for the day. And our guest is Logan. Logan actually brought something new to the table for HRT. First time ever that we dove really deep into bottom surgery, how it works, all the different processes, and we got to learn more about Logan. Logan is also very into content creation, so we got to pick his brain about how he feels about that. And we all shared some laughs, and we had a very good time. Make sure you join the Discord server. You know what I'm going to say. It's free. Just do it. Patreon, subscribe to that. I got new content coming out. A lot of clips from past episodes that I had to cut. So those will be on Patreon as well. And you'll see more of Nate. Nate has helped me out tremendously with Patreon, and I appreciate you, Nathan, for that. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for helping me out today, Nathan. I appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
And let's go talk to Logan. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye. Let me just start by asking you where you are from, Logan.
I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I went to college in Wilmington, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's, a little scary.
It honestly really wasn't bad. I actually had like a fine time transitioning because I started transitioning in North Carolina. I spent like the first 3 years of my transition in North Carolina, and it really wasn't bad. Like I honestly faced like not a ton of discrimination, like school wise or like with people or people I was dating. Like it really wasn't like terrible. So I don't know. But North Carolina, like I don't know if you guys saw, has like an excessive amount of trans people, like 74,000 trans people compared to
Holy
like
hell.
the rest of the country.
Really?
Yeah, I posted on my story recently, but North Carolina had like the fourth largest amount of trans people, like population.
That's ironic as
That's
fuck
wild.
because of the
Which makes
bathroom
sense because
law.
I had like a stupid amount of trans friends in college, so
Really?
it was
Wow.
like, yeah.
Well, were you out yet when the bathroom law in North Carolina was a thing?
I think so. Yeah. When the bill was trying to pass, thankfully the governor is super liberal, and so he typically like vetoes a ton of that stuff unless it like goes over him really. But he is super super liberal and has like protected a lot of like trans rights and abortion rights as much as he can in North Carolina. So
Boy, we love that.
yeah, right.
I remember being in North Carolina. I was in North Carolina when the bill was just passed, I think, for the transgender bathroom law, and I was fresh in my transition. I was not on testosterone. I was barely out to my father yet, and I was so afraid to use the bathroom because I didn't. I was like, I'm not allowed. Like, I'll go to jail. So I like went a whole week without using public restrooms. It was horrible.
Oh man, yeah, it's tough. Like especially in certain areas, like it can be really like rural in
Rural,
North
yeah.
Carolina. But I mean, for the most part, like I lived like where I lived in Greensboro is like the third biggest city in North Carolina. It's like up there with like Charlotte and Raleigh. And then I don't know what it was about in Wilmington, North Carolina. That city is so small, but there were so many trans guys there. It was
Really?
ridiculous.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, I had like a group of like I hung out with like 3 or 4 trans guys throughout my college days.
Well, that's
Yeah.
nice.
I love that.
I didn't have any trans friends through my transition. Damn.
I'm pretty good at
Yeah.
scouting them out though.
That's good.
I feel like I
You got the
keep
trans guy radar.
keep my eyes peeled for all the trans guys to be friends with them.
That's awesome. I love that. Are you on hormones, my friend? Clearly you are.
Yeah, I've been on hormones for over 5 years.
Sick. Nice. Do you do IM or sub Q?
I don't like okay, like on paper intermuscular, but In terms of the needles I buy off Amazon, sometimes sub Q. To me, there's not a huge difference. It's just like
I feel
sub
you.
Q is easier
I feel you.
mentally,
Right.
but you know,
I'm on IM. I do IM, but I agree with you. I think I use smaller needles than what I'm supposed to, just so it hurts
yeah,
less. But
yeah, me too.
IM for the win. Sorry, Nate.
Yeah.
I am youth. I don't know what I am anymore. I'm pretty sure I am. I've given up.
I forgot you don't know which one you are.
Well, I was convinced I am, but then Cody made me second guess it. So now it's up for grabs. Whatever people want to
That's
say.
kind of how I feel too. It's just like whatever's convenient at the time for me is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Logan, do you have shot anxiety? Probably, but
Kind of like it's kind of it depends. I mean, sometimes it's like super easy, super like not, hard at all, but my girlfriend does it a lot of times and that really eases a lot of anxiety because I don't know, having someone else do it is just like makes a world of difference.
agreed wholeheartedly.
But I never really had really difficult shot anxiety where I hear a lot of people are like, oh, like I just couldn't do my shot this day. A lot of times it's more like I procrastinate my shot because I'm like, wow, this is such a process. I do not want to do this right now.
He gets it.
Mhm.
Logan
Who
gets
has
it.
the time for it?
Right,
Yup.
exactly. It's such a like pause in my day where I have to be like, oh, I gotta do this like 10-minute process, like
Yeah.
get all the
Mhm.
things out. It's just exhausting.
And I
Mhm.
hate that I feel that way about it because I spent so long like wanting to be on testosterone and whatever, and it's like a privilege to be on it, and I know that, but I'm
Right.
still like, oh god, I don't want
Right.
to.
I do mine probably every like 10 days. I don't do it every week, but it's about every 10 days these days. Because
Yeah,
I had a total hysterectomy, so it's like even more like impertinent that I do it.
yeah,
So,
it's pretty
but it's
important. for you to
I
do
just
that.
can't.
Wait, are you supposed to be taking it weekly, but you take it every 2
Yeah.
weeks?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone else I know.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, my shot day is supposed to be Tuesday. I never take it until like Friday or Saturday. It's horrible.
Same. Every time. Every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, not good.
I'm only good with it because I have someone else do it for me, and like we make like a whole like thing out of it. It's like a whole day event.
Oh, that's so
So
fun.
if I didn't have that, then I think I would do it on willy nilly whenever I felt like it.
Maybe I should make it more of like a ritual and then it'll be more special.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
10-day
exactly. A
ritual.
little self-care day.
Right, a little self-care day.
How long did you say you've been on hormones for, Logan?
5 years. I started August 2018.
Nice. Hey.
Yeah.
And you were how old are you, by the way? I haven't asked.
26.
26. Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so were you in college when you started hormones?
Yeah, I started hormones I guess it was right before so I took 5 years to graduate college.
It's okay, I didn't even go.
So yeah, I had to take a victory lap, just to really
I'm on track for 5 years, so I get it.
And so I started right before I guess it was the summer before my first senior year,
Mm.
and then I had my second senior year. So yeah, I guess it was right before my senior year technically. Maybe my junior year technically. I don't really know. It was 2018 around the time I was in college, kind of halfway through.
2018's a haze.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
real.
yeah, because I didn't graduate till 2020, so it was about 2 years before I graduated. I started hormones.
Got you. Nice. And I know you've gotten top surgery because I've seen your Instagram.
Yeah, I got top surgery in 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Nice. Slay.
I've been busy, dude. I've had a surgery almost every year except 2020.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And you said you got a histo too. When did you get that?
2021.
Nice. Year after year. I like it.
Yeah.
Banged it out.
Did you say you got a full histo?
Yeah, total hysterectomy.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you depend on testosterone then.
Yeah,
100%.
pretty much, which is a little scary, but at the same time, it's like, whatever.
I how is the process of getting histo? Because I see one in my future.
It really okay. This guy that I knew a while back, like, kind of recommended me to go to this doctor in Boulder, Colorado. Her name is Dr. Heather Bright Hoffmeyer, and I went in for my consultation, and she was like, like, I see you've been on hormones for a while, like, I don't need any letters. I'm not exactly sure if this was legal or whatever she did. But she got my insurance, like, to approve it and everything. So I really have no idea what she did. But anyways, I didn't need
Talk about an
letters.
ally.
Like, I had letters. I
You
was
were
ready
ready.
to present her with letters. And she was like, "Nah, I don't need your letters." And I was like, "All right, like, let's do it." So, I went in for the hysterectomy, and it was a little weird because I think I was only like their second trans patient.
Mm.
And so I remember, I think at one point my girlfriend was with me, and I think at one point they, like, maybe, like, she heard me, and then it was a little weird because I was like, clearly I'm a guy.
Right, yeah.
So I think there
Hmm.
was just, I think a lot of times surgery teams, like, when you're in a kind of unique situation, don't quite know, especially when you're in, like, I was at, like, an OBGYN surgery center, so it was like,
That's not
I
fun to begin with.
understand the thought process, but it's also like, just use your little eyes and look at
Right.
me.
Yeah, we can use our
Yeah,
context clues for sure.
Yeah, context
Right,
clues.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that,
Yeah.
it was totally fine. I mean, after the hysterectomy, I was violently depressed. The hormone shift, along with me switching up some medications in my life, really messed with me. So I was, like, violently depressed for a while. But I got through it and I was fine. But I honestly, I don't think it was all the hysterectomy. I think a lot of it was my mental health medications that I
Right.
was messing with at the time.
Just life in general,
Mhm.
Yeah, just how it goes.
Mhm.
Oh, that's crazy though.
What was the healing process like? Like, was it
Dude,
really
so
long?
easy. Like, 4
I
days.
wasn't expecting that.
No, so
Wow.
easy. Like,
Okay.
I was on pain meds for 3 or 4 days because you get cramping. That's pretty intense. But other than that, like, I was set in like a week. I was back to normal. Started lifting, like, really light. 3 weeks post op. It was not bad.
Respect.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Now, can I ask what kind of prompted you to want a hysterectomy? Was it like just get these organs out of me, they don't belong there, or something else?
So I actually I hadn't had my menstrual cycle since 2018 when I started hormones. But I, for the next 2 years, or I guess 3 years, had literal nightmares that I would get my cycle.
I
Like,
get that.
like, every week I would have a nightmare that I would get it. And because it was like my biggest fear, because I'm like, what do I do if this happens? Because I'm going to freak out. So, like, I would have nightmares about it. And I guess I was like, tired of the nightmares. And also I was really thinking about bottom surgery at the time, because I was like, I initially, thought I wanted metoidioplasty. And then I was like, me and my girlfriend had to talk about, like, my long-term goals and what I was going to be satisfied with long-term. And we landed on kind of like, okay, phalloplasty seems to be it for me, but I got to get more, like, research done. I got to talk to more people and do the whole thing. But I knew, like, if I was going to pursue bottom surgery, I really just wanted to get everything out and just, like, not even worry about, if I was going to get my cycle back, or, if anything, there's not a lot of research for long-term, like, hormone usage. So I was like, maybe, I don't know maybe it'll just die inside me and I'll have to get it removed anyways, because some people will, like, leave an ovary or whatever. But I was like, I don't even want to risk anything happening. So it was just
Right.
like, it just made sense for me to get everything removed.
And we're going to talk more about bottom surgery because it's a whole topic for today. But I do want to ask really quick, is getting a histo for a certain type of bottom surgery, is that a requirement? It is.
It depends. So if you want to get a vaginectomy, then yes. But if you are not wanting to do that, then you don't necessarily have to do that.
Got you.
It really depends. There's so many variations in bottom surgery. It's actually really intriguing. That it really depends on kind of what your goals are long term.
Got you. I'm excited to talk more about that in a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely see a histo in my future. I feel like I'm the type of person that like I can't see those organs, doesn't bother me. It's like whatever, I can't see you anyway.
Mhm.
But I have horrible cramps. Horrible cramps. It's not a menstrual cycle at all. It's just I've read on Reddit that a lot of trans guys have like gone through. It's like phantom pain where like nothing
Mhm.
happens. It's just extreme cramps. And I think I think it's called atrophy. And like my
Yeah.
organs are just like dying. It's fine. Everything's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not falling apart or anything. It's
No, not Cody.
fine.
I like when I'm in public, I still like want to ask my friend, "Oh, can you do the period check? Like, is everything okay?" Like, and it's like, dude, no, like you're fine. So I totally get like the phantom like fear of it all
Right.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not
Yeah, I
fun.
was terrified I was gonna get it again because I had heard of people who had been on hormones for like 5+ years and their
Yup.
like cycle randomly comes back, and it's like that was the last thing I
Mhm.
wanted to happen.
Yeah, fuck that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm terrified of that happening. So it's like just lingering back there for
Mhm.
me. So I also am interested in a hysterectomy.
What the fuck is the point of testosterone if that can just come back?
Right.
Like what the
Truly.
fuck?
Truly.
Period. Yeah. Mhm.
All right, Logan. Let me ask you about your coming out story a little bit. When did you come out as trans?
Yeah, I came out I want to say it was like I came out publicly in like June of 2018, I think. So it was right before I started hormones, and then I came out to my mom like a little bit earlier about before that, like my mom and my sister. Um, and that was, kind of a breeze. Like I'm really lucky to have the support that I have, and I didn't really get too much pushback in any direction from anyone. So I had a pretty, easy coming out. I was really nervous about dating. I was dating someone at the time when I came out, but it was really scary to think about, after that,
Mm-hmm. Right.
what dating was going to look like for me. So that was a big factor for me. That was really nerve wracking. But other than that, it wasn't super hard. I told my mom, told my sister. They were both very receptive. My sister was like, well, I was kind of waiting for it. And I was like, all right, well, you could have let me know.
You could have told me.
So, right. So, and thankfully I had really supportive friends. And then I was able to find a lot of community back in my college town. So, yeah.
That's good. I have a lot of people who come on here who have just horror stories about their family
Yeah.
being awful to them. So it's refreshing when people
Yeah.
say that their coming out story was actually positive.
Yeah.
Um, so I related to something you said. You said were you in a relationship when you came out as trans?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said everything you were afraid for everything after that. Completely get
Yeah.
that. No matter how many relationships you go through as a trans person, I feel like even though you're like clearly people love me because I've been in X amount of relationships as a trans man, it's like you break up with somebody and then immediately it's okay. No one's gonna love me. Nobody's gonna love me.
Yeah,
That was the last one.
exactly. God, there's no many people, no more people on this earth that are gonna like me because I'm trans.
Right.
I remember there was one time when I first moved to Colorado. I was on dating apps, and I remember the first time I ever got rejected for being trans was this one girl who was like, she had agreed to go on a date with me, whatever. And I was like, hey, like, just so you know, like, I want to disclose, like, I am trans. Like, I hope that's not an issue for you. Because I was trying to not put it in my bio to see kind of what the response would be if it would be different.
Right.
And so I told her, and she was like, oh, well, like, I'm just really straight. And I was like, well, that's good because I'm a guy. And she was like, oh, well, like, I didn't mean it like that. And I was like, okay, yeah, okay. And I was sitting in the Target parking lot just like sobbing because I was like, I'm 3 years on T, and this is the first time this has ever happened to me.
Oh,
And I was
how
like,
did you
even in
cope?
North
Yeah.
Carolina, that never happened to me. But
Right, what
in
the fuck?
Colorado,
That's
in Denver,
wild.
Colorado, this random girl has the audacity.
It's like, what'd she say? I'm just really straight. I'm just
Yeah,
really
and I was
straight.
like,
what?
thank God, dude, because I am actually a guy, so that's really good.
Period.
And I don't think she expected me to say that too, but oh man, I was heated over that. It took me a while to get over.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
blame you. I have friends who, are trans, obviously, and some of them have done really well on dating apps, and some of them are like, I can't get a single match because everybody is not interested because I'm trans. I guess maybe it's like where
Yeah.
you live, but like the Denver, Colorado thing compared to North Carolina is wild, to be
Right.
honest.
Yeah. Well, I've never
Yeah.
successfully dated someone off a dating app anyways. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm more of an organic kind of meet in
Mhm.
person,
Right. Yeah. It's hard to do that nowadays, though.
It is. It really is. Especially like after college. Like if I hadn't met my girlfriend in just like the way that I did, like I think it would have been a lot more challenging for me to like meet someone because I hate going out. Like I don't go out anymore. Like I'm not gonna go to a bar or a club and like meet someone there.
Yeah, that's
But
like straight out of a movie. I feel like that doesn't happen.
yeah, right.
No. And the chances of bumping someone into a library, it's
Right.
slim to
Right.
nothing.
Period, honestly. So you said you have a very supportive family?
Mhm.
Not a
Yeah.
single person gave you a hard time?
Well, like my brother is a little weird, but
Mm,
we don't like have a super strong relationship anyways.
mm, got you.
Um, and as an adult, like I don't have to really interact with him a ton, and
Sure.
like my dad would not be supportive whatsoever, but I don't talk to him, thank God.
Mm.
But he would have been like he would have like even though I'm like was 21 when I came out, he would have somehow shipped me off to conversion therapy.
Oh, God.
Like he's
Oh.
crazy.
For the
But
best, Ben.
yeah, but my
Right.
my stepdad's also very supportive, and he paid for my deposit for top surgery. So like I've had a lot of really just awesome support.
See, that's
But
awesome.
I mean, there are people who like were if they were in my life would have given me
Mm.
absolute hell about it. But
Mm.
I did the work before
Right.
coming out.
Yeah, good for you for
Mhm,
surrounding
mhm.
yourself with good people.
Yeah,
That's
for
all it's
sure.
about. 100%. And I love it when I hear that like cis men in people's life, like your stepdad, are supportive. Not that they
Yeah,
deserve a cookie or anything, but like you
yeah.
don't see it very often. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No,
Right.
he's super cool with it and super like when the whole, military trans ban happened, he thought it was the dumbest thing ever because he was like, if someone wants to fight for the country, like they should be able to do that.
Just let them.
Right.
Yeah, like
Like
who cares? Like
I don't get why because I'm uncomfortable with my body means that I can't be in the military. I can't. Wait, what? I don't get that.
exactly.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Makes no sense to me at all. Speaking about being uncomfortable with our bodies, gender dysphoria. Do you have it, and how do you cope with it?
Honestly, it's kind of crazy. At this point in my transition, after having had stage 2 of fallow, I don't get crazy dysphoric. Like, I don't really get a ton of dysphoria. And, like, that changed drastically after stage 1. Like, after stage 1, I really wasn't dysphoric. I was dysphoric, or more so, it's more so like a discomfort, and more so of a, like not having balls really bothered me.
Mm.
But it was like I was like, but I know I'm gonna get them, so it's like whatever.
Mm,
And then after
Yeah.
stage 2, now it's like more so just like a I feel a little like I can't get erections right now, so I feel a little inadequate in a way, but less so dysphoric, more so just like I have erectile dysfunction and I can't like do anything about it
Which
right
cis
now.
men get.
Right.
So.
So it's like I mean, but before I had a ton of bottom dysphoria before. I mean, it was really bad. Um, packing really helped. I love my pack strap. Yeah, my pack strap. That was
Mhm.
my pack strap and the Mr. Limpy duo were like it for
Limpy.
me.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so money well spent. I'm hearing
Mm,
bottom surgery, 100%.
exactly.
All right, so I do want to get more into bottom surgery. Then, I think Nate and I are similar, and we are very uneducated about bottom surgery and want to learn
It's
more.
embarrassing. At least for me, you know.
I know like the things you always hear about it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But since I haven't thought about it for myself personally, I haven't done much research on it. So do you maybe want to take a moment to maybe teach me things about it
Yeah, for
and all the
sure.
different processes?
Yeah. So there's two types of bottom surgery for trans men. There's metoidioplasty, which is where they take kind of your natal organs and kind of shift them around and change some things to make it more like masculinized. Um, so they take, your bottom growth and they do like a shift up. It's called a mons lift. So they lift your mons pubis, which is like the above part. It's like your pubic bone, basically. So they lift that skin up, and then they can create testicular implants with kind of the skin that's already there. And then for phalloplasty, there's a ton of different variations, but basically you have the option of getting the phallus, which is obviously the main goal for most people for phalloplasty. You can get testicular implants, which is scrotoplasty, which is where they create a scrotum out of the skin that's already there. You can get a vaginectomy, and you can get urethral lengthening and urethral hookup. There's 3 different types of phalloplasties that you can get. I got RFF, which is where they take the skin from your forearm. It's got the most sensation, highest probability of standing to pee, and then you can get just like kind of the best size out of it. ALT is where they take it from your thigh, which is typically going to be a little bigger. It's second place in terms of sensation. You typically will have to go through revisions to get like debulking done because it is such a larger phallus because of the skin on your thigh is a lot thicker. You can get your nerve hookups, but like I said, it's like second in terms of sensation, and then you can get urethral lengthening too. And then another one is MLD, I think it's called, where they take from your like stomach area. That's typically for guys who have a little extra skin in that area. As far as I know, there's not a ton of sensation with that, but you can still get nerve hookup. And then urethral lengthening, I think some surgeons are starting to do urethral lengthening with MLD, but I'm not entirely sure what that looks like or who's doing it. But I know that it's riskier to do urethral lengthening. And like I said, sensation's not, top tier. So that's kind of in a nutshell what bottom surgery looks like.
Speaking of, how do you even say that? Urethral lengthening? Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that literally they take your urethra and fucking
No,
like that's what's happening in my head right now? Because that's terrifying.
So they take your urethra. So I'll show you the inside of my arm. They take your urethra from right here. So like this part of your arm is your urethra. And so they take the urethra and they roll it. It's called a tube within a tube method. So they roll it into the urethra. And then for stage 1 for me, so the stages can vary by surgeon. So for me, they didn't do my urethral lengthening hookup until stage 2. So I had my new urethra inside the phallus, but it wasn't hooked up to my old urethra. What they did was they expanded my urethra to like another, like, I'm trying to think of how to like verbalize this, but they kind of took my urethra and made it go from where it was in my body. They created a hole like next to my bottom growth that was like where my urethra opening was going to connect to my new urethra. So I just had this hole in my body for like a year because I waited a year to get stage 2.
Oh.
And it was very hidden, very covered. Like it wouldn't be like noticeable in any capacity, but I did have to self catheter it just to keep it clean, which didn't hurt or anything. It felt a little weird. I could feel it in because I would have to do it through the phallus, through the new urethra hole.
Dang,
and so I was
You are
self-cathing that.
the
Yeah.
strongest man alive.
Right,
Bro, massive respect to you, man.
So it was so strange having to do that, but I got used to it. And then that was where my new urethra ended so it went through the phallus out of that new hole that they created. And then they created the phallus in stage 1. And then they also had that new urethra that they put in. Stage 2, they also did the nerve hookup in stage 1. So they connected an artery from my thigh, and they connected nerves from my bottom growth and erogenous nerves that are in that like pubic area. And then in stage 2, they connected the urethra that they had created to my new or old urethra using a graft that they took from a scar that they created in stage 1. They took skin from there basically and then just reclosed it and used that to connect the two urethras. Um, and then I had a catheter, a suprapubic catheter in for 4 weeks, which was through my stomach. So it went straight into my bladder.
Damn, dude.
And then they did
That is wild.
they did scrotoplasty, which is where they created the balls, and they did glandsplasty, which is where they create the head of the penis.
Dang.
Okay.
Now you're in stage 2, right?
Yeah, so I just finished stage 2.
Wow. Okay.
Congrats.
Yeah. Congratulations,
Thanks.
dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Now
You're doing it with grace, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it went as well as it could have. I mean, I had very minimal complications, but nothing crazy.
How long is this all taking so far for you?
So I got stage 1 in November of 2022, and I just got stage 3 in October. I could have gotten it in like June, but I needed more time to just mentally and emotionally prepare.
Yeah, dude. I don't blame you.
Mhm.
I haven't talked about bottom surgery much at all, even outside of this podcast. But I do have one friend who is getting ready to start the process of,
Mhm.
stage 1 and everything. And I was talking to him and he was like, everything that I've read about it, everyone I've talked to said is probably the hardest thing they've ever had to go through, physically, mentally, all of the above. How you doing, bud? Like mentally, like are you good?
Yeah, so I mean, okay, so stage 1 really wasn't. It's more so dealing with the anxiety because there is so much that can go wrong. There's, kind of you can get into the green zone in like a couple weeks, but it's like the first couple weeks there's a lot of risk. The first 10 days there's a lot of risk. Um Stage 1, I was on drugs for so long that I don't even remember the first like 2 or 3 weeks of stage 1 recovery.
Wow.
And like that was fine. Like being on those drugs was very helpful during that time. But then you kind of get off the pain meds and you're like, okay, now the anxiety is starting to hit. It's really just figuring out how to manage that anxiety because you're gonna see one tiny thing on your new penis and be like, oh my god, this is like something's happening, or you're gonna feel something and you're gonna be like, oh my god, something's going wrong. Right now I'm like learning to pee standing up and I'm like, oh god, this feels a little different, what's happening? So it's like just dealing with the anxiety, or like I had a few complications. Like I had wound separation above the scrotum this time, which it's not as bad as it sounds. Really, it's just where the skin separates, where they try to get it where it's stitched together and it just doesn't heal right, so they typically just cut it open and it heals fine. But going through that was very nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh, like what if it doesn't heal, what if it doesn't close? Like for some reason that's like where my brain goes. But I mean, there's just stage 2 is particularly hard because it's a higher risk of complications because you're in my case you're dealing with urethral stuff, which is very complex and very sensitive. So, there's the possibility for fistulas. There's a possibility for, urine coming out of places where it's not supposed to, which is a fistula. And that can heal up on its own, or you could have to have it repaired later on. It's never the end of the world. I remember there was something that my PA told me after stage 2, especially with when I was going through my wound separation situation. And she was like, yeah, when I first started, working on phalloplasty cases, I would see some pretty gnarly stuff, but something that Jens Burley, he's kind of one of the founding fathers of phalloplasty in the U.S. He's um, partners with Dr. Blair Peters, who I got surgery done with at OHSU. He trained Dr. Blair Peters, but he told her, you know, they always heal. You know, things can happen, and there's, you know, challenging parts of phalloplasty, especially stage 2, but people always heal. So that was really reassuring for me, is just keeping that in mind, that like no matter what happens, like you're always going to heal, you're always going to get to that home stretch. And your body wants to heal and it wants to help you out. And the body is a very adaptable thing. It's very malleable and very flexible. And you know, you obviously you can do a lot to your body and it ends up okay. But I think just keeping that in mind, that like it can suck right now, because especially stage 2 sucked a lot post-op. I don't know why. I think it was because my body felt so good, whereas the first stage I felt very like down and out, and I was like, you know, having to like relax a lot and can do a ton. But stage 2, I was like, I had the energy, I felt good, but I still couldn't do things, you know. So I think mentally that was tough. So just keeping yourself busy, keeping yourself, you know, excited about things, and trying to focus on things that aren't just phalloplasty helped me a lot.
Well, damn, that's awesome advice, because I think there's a lot of people out there. Um, Hi Nate, that are afraid of surgeries and and stuff like that. And I think that's solid advice, because you're right. The human body is so, it wants to heal. You're right.
Yeah,
That would ease my
Mhm.
mind,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Um, how much of this process were you like in the hospital for, at a doctor's office for like long periods of time? Were you, or was it
Yeah.
more like home based?
So I went to Portland, Oregon for my surgery. So I was in Portland for 7 weeks the first time, and then about 5 weeks the second time. I was in the hospital for stage 1 for 4 days. So it was 4 to 6 days we were supposed to stay in the hospital. I got out that fourth day because I was doing just really well. And in that 4 days, they wake you up every hour for the first 24 hours to check the pulse of the phallus to make sure it's, you know, got blood running through it and it's all like working okay. Um, and then they, you know, they go to 2 hours the next day, and then it's less frequent as you kind of go on. And then for stage 2, I was only in the hospital for overnight. So I was only out that one night, and then I was able to go back to where I was staying. Um, so it really wasn't as bad as it could have been. Yeah, and then, you know, for both stage 1 and stage 2, I went to post-op appointments every week or sometimes twice a week, depending on what was going on with my recovery.
Cool. Let's ask. Oh, how were like the doctors and stuff that were helping? Were they
Yeah,
like good?
so yeah, OHSU's team is awesome. They're the most reassuring, most like patient. I mean, I'm a very anxious person, you know. I'm not like, oh, like I just, you know, got surgery and I'm like fine, like whatever. Like if I notice any changes in anything, like I'm letting the doctor know, and I'm like freaking out about it at the same time, you know. So I mean, like you know, their physician's assistant, you know, she's awesome. My surgeon's awesome. Um, you know, honestly, I couldn't have picked a better team, and I think that's part of why I've been so successful, is that I picked a team that really like cares for their patients and really wants to make sure that they're getting the best outcome as possible.
Nice. And remind me, where did you get it done again?
Oregon Health and Science University.
I was just gonna jump in because I'm just laughing because I'm like the same way about like just being a very anxious person, like especially when it comes to like my health and like my
Mm.
body and whatnot. Any little thing scares the crap out of
Yeah.
me. And so
Yeah.
wow, this isn't the same thing. I just got top surgery and I've
Nice.
literally been texting, thank you. I've been texting Cody, hey, I just noticed this. What do you think? And so like I completely get it. And so I commemorate you for like getting through that with like such head held high.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very optimistic person for the most part. I just, you know, I worry a ton, but honestly, it's
It's so
been
easy to.
it's really been the easiest. Like, you know, it could have been really hard, but I've had a very lucky go about everything, and you know, I've had the support, and I think that's the biggest part, is just having the support system in place to like really support you and through those anxieties. And, I had people to talk to me all day, every day. Like, and, I've had just like people in and out, like supporting me. And it's just been awesome seeing kind of who's there for me, and, sharing my story on Instagram has been really empowering too. Just, it helps get me through those kind of difficult times when I can, rely on people who follow me to like want to talk to me and want to engage with me and like ask questions and, give me encouraging words. So it's all been pretty awesome.
Right. That's like super important, especially, I mean,
Mm.
throughout anybody's transition, and no matter what part of your transition you're going through, it's important to have a support system. But I've read
Yeah.
and I've heard that through bottom surgery, it's like a requirement, I think, from like doctors
Yeah,
and
it
stuff.
is.
Like, you
Yeah.
need to have a support system because
Yeah.
it's such a huge
Mhm.
thing to go through.
Yeah.
That's good. Um, Nate, you reminded me when talking about your top surgery. Nate has been, like he said, asking me questions and stuff about it, and we all know that checking Google is is never a good idea. So every day he asks me a question like, "Is this normal?" And I'm like, "Hang on," and I check Google for him.
Literally, like,
'Cause
I just need to start like texting Cody. All right, look up this on Google for me.
it's scary looking shit up on Google. Terrifying, terrifying.
That's
Unless
how
you're
that's
not
how
worried.
Reddit is. I'm like such a Reddit is my fatal flaw because I'll check the phalloplasty Reddit page, and like people have like, I mean, because you really only hear about the bad stuff. Like people aren't going to be like,
Mhm.
typically aren't going to be like, hey, just letting everybody know everything is going fine. It's more so like, hey, this is happening to me. How, like, what do I do? Can I get support? Like, so that's
Yep.
that's part of my thing is like with phalloplasty, which is like such a nuanced topic in the trans community. Like, people are always like, oh, phalloplasty, and I thought this my first cut like 2 or 3 years of transitioning. I was like, oh, like phalloplasty's botched. Like it's there's no good results out there. I want to wait until whatever happens where there's better results. And phalloplasty is honestly it's as skilled of a surgery as it really can be. That's so, if you go to the right people, there's so much positive outcome that it's the whole journey's worth it. But people who just kind of go to whoever, it's the same thing with top surgery. You just go to whoever. You walk in the door of like someone in the middle of Kansas, you're gonna be like, oh, like I got a shitty top surgery result.
Right. Yeah.
It's just kind of how it goes.
Mhm.
That's interesting because I'll be real with you. I don't know. I guess bottom surgery in general for the trans community or trans men community is for some reason not talked about enough.
Mm,
Like this is the first time I've really dove into it on the podcast and I don't even know why. Like I like it's just not talked about too much. And I think everyone's a little scared to talk about it sometimes. Obviously, who
yeah.
wants to, like it's a scary thing to talk about. And I'll be real, I prior to this conversation a while ago, I think I thought that bottom surgery wasn't worth like the risks or the
Yeah.
looks of it or anything.
Yeah.
But now that I'm educated on it,
I mean, I'll tell you, like, pretty straight up, like, my penis looks pretty. It looks pretty cis. I mean, take away the tattoos that are on
Yeah.
it, it's pretty cis looking. So, like, like honestly, like, because I had the same thought where I was like, oh, it's not worth it. Like, there's too many complications. It's not going to turn out the way I wanted to. But like, it's everything I could have hoped it would be.
okay,
Um,
shit.
and
Mhm.
it's you get through the harder parts and you like pee for the first time. Like I peed for the first time like last week and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like,
I was gonna ask how was that?
like
Was that such a
it was,
freeing feeling? I mean, I feel like I'd be on top of the
Yeah.
world.
it feels pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it feels
Yeah.
a little weird right now because my brain's not there yet where it's like, okay, this is how we're peeing now, but it's like it's super revolutionizing for me, honestly.
Hell yeah, good
Mhm.
for you, man.
Mhm.
What isn't there? Because I know there's a lot of different ways you could go about bottom surgery, a lot of different procedures and whatnot. With phalloplasty, is there a way to, get it all done or whatever in the same way, but not be able to stand to pee?
Yeah, so you can actually have the urethra routed. I think they put it behind the balls so you can still sit to pee. A
Mhm.
lot of people will do that just because they don't really care to stand to pee. Like it's not really a thing for them. Typically, when you go in for a phalloplasty consultation, they'll ask you to rank kind of your priorities. So it's like between aesthetics, staying to pee, ability to penetrate, and what's the other one? Sensation. And so I had like sensation at the top of mine. Aesthetics was second because I'm all about aesthetics.
Period.
Ability to penetrate, and then standing to pee. Or wait, sensation. Yeah. So standing to pee was not really like at the top. It wasn't at the top of my list at all. I still wanted to be able to do it, but it wasn't like, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world for me. You know?
I feel like my list would be very similar. I feel like out of all those
Yeah.
things. Yeah. I see that.
Mhm.
What was I gonna say? When in your life or through your transition did you realize you wanted bottom surgery? You might have already answered that, but
Yeah, so it was about 3 years post-op when I met my current girlfriend. We were a couple, probably like 6 months into our relationship, and I was in the process of going through like starting metoidioplasty, and I was like, I think, she was like, "Do you think you might want phalloplasty, eventually?" And I was like, I could see myself wanting phalloplasty just because of like, kind of the end results. Like I want to be able to penetrate better than metoidioplasty would offer. And I think overall, just the appearance, like the bulge in my pants and all that was just more important to me. And then I was like, I might as well just get phalloplasty because like I don't want to get metoidioplasty and then have to get phalloplasty later on, Do you guys mind if we take a break? I got to pee so bad.
yeah, dude, go for it.
Go for it.
All right, I'll be back.
For sure. Take your time. It's the first time I've had someone pause to pee. I'm always like, guys, if you need to like take a
That's
break,
exciting.
go pee.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing, pal?
Dude, I knew I wasn't like aware of bottom surgery. I didn't realize I was this unaware
like
of it.
me too. I'm like, whoa. Really?
Yeah, no, I literally, I feel mind blown right now, and like I'm back in school. I want to take notes right now.
I'm like, what's a urethra?
No, literally, he just said something that I have a question about. The meta.
Yeah, I don't know.
What was that again?
I'll look it up.
Yep.
FTM.
You really are my Google guy.
Yeah, you're Google Doc. Google Doc. What the fuck? Google Doc. It's called metal. Okay. Metatoidoplasty. I'm fucking taking a picture. Metatoidoplasty.
What?
I don't know.
I'm
sending you a picture.
What is that again?
I don't know.
All right, I'm back.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Ooh, I feel phenomenal now.
New man.
Yeah, truly.
Nate and I were just trying to figure out what the fuck that word is that you were saying. It's the other type of
metoidioplasty.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that. Oh. Metoidoplasty.
Metoidioplasty.
Okay. I have dyslexia, so I probably shouldn't sit here and make you guys go through that.
Nate, did you have a question on that, or did you just not know how to say it?
Can you just like quickly because I know you explained it, so I'm sorry to ask you to repeat it, but what is that exactly again? Just like really quick.
So they use like what you already have, like your bottom growth,
okay,
to basically they release it is what it's called. So they release it, and they it extends like a couple more like centimeters, like I want to say 3 to 5 more centimeters. So you're more likely able to stand to pee because they can do urethral lengthening with that too. I don't know quite where they take the urethra from. It might be the inside of your cheek, which is, I know it's random and weird, but I think they...
All of this is random.
Right? So I think they take the urethra from the inside of your cheek. I think some people might take it from different places. And then extend it through your bottom growth, and then Depending on your size, you might be able to clear your pants and be able to stand to pee, but it just depends on kind of like how big you already are. And then they can still do scrotoplasty, testicular implants, vaginectomy, and all that with metoidioplasty.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, like just to put myself on blast, I thought that was bottom surgery, and there was that's it.
Oh my
just
God.
so you know what? Learning so much.
Right. Oh, so that's what the trans community is all about. We're just constantly learning, you know.
For real.
No, oh, so true.
So true.
I don't blame you, Nate, or myself or anybody else being a little uneducated about it, because it's kind of a very scary thing
Yeah, for sure.
to get yourself
Mhm.
to learn more about. It's intimidating because it's kind of confusing. Like there's a lot that
And
goes into it.
it's hard to find positive stories too,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is the scariest part, which
Mhm.
is what was my frustration.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I get that. And I think as a whole too, like I don't know, I think trans people are very good at talking about uncomfortable subjects. But still it's still an uncomfortable subject, I think, to people to talk about. But I'm glad
Mhm.
that, we're talking about it, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge on it too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
I have one more question about it before we get into our next little topic before we go.
Cool.
Um, I don't think you've answered it, but out of your journey so far with it, what do you think has been the hardest part, physically or mentally?
I think mentally just dealing with the boredom,
Mm.
because it can get very boring after recovery. Besides the anxiety, you're just bored to tears like 24/7. And so I think that was the hardest part, was just like, and being away from home for me, since I traveled for mine, being away from home and having to just recover, in a place that wasn't mine. It was just, overall, all around pretty challenging. Stage 2 is the hardest part for sure.
Gotcha.
Mm.
What was the best part?
Um, all of it. I mean, it's all been worth it. I think just getting into that like phase of recovery where like I'm pretty much healed and good and just like able to live my life the way that I've wanted to live it for so long, you know?
Nice. Um, I think, and I think you answered this a little bit before with, the body will always heal type of thing. But I think there's a lot of trans men out there who want bottom surgery but are terrified of it.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for
Just
them?
do your research. I mean, I talk to people who've actually like gone through the process. I think that was what really helped me was, I got connected with people who had surgery through OHSU, where I was planning to go, and I was able to talk to them and kind of get their story and their feedback and, see results that were positive and, really see kind of what's typical to, happen post surgery and what's typical in terms of results and stuff like that.
Hey, awesome. To get into our second topic a little bit, which is content creation as a trans person, you're kind of popping off on Instagram.
Yeah, so
You
I've
kind
been
of pop
told.
Mhm.
off. I love it. I love to see it.
Mhm.
How long have you been into content creation?
Since I started transitioning, I really got into it. I think I saw there was kind of a niche to be filled, and I was like, I go back and forth all the time whether I really want to focus on like trans content or if I want to just be me. And it's a challenging caveat really to like figure out like where the line is for me, where it becomes where it starts to consume me versus where it's like healthy for me.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I get that. I haven't even
Mhm.
been doing it that long, and obviously, this podcast is all trans based, but I totally understand how it can mess with your head a little bit in
Mm.
your own transition. Do you think being chronically online probably has affected your transition at all?
I think there's a lot of kind of um within the trans masculine community, there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of envy. And that's something I've
Ooh.
been kind of learning more about, is just not comparing yourself to other people and also like, you know, allowing yourself to be more of a resource rather than someone to like have people who idolize you, like being more accessible I find that responding to DMs, which I'm terrible at, but I try so hard to respond to DMs, but like talking to people and being engaging with my followers and being, someone who they can, talk to and ask questions and learn from, rather than just being this person who's like unattainable in a way, or like unable to like
Mm.
access. I want people to have access to me and have access to like my knowledge and the things I've gone through.
Right.
um so that's kind of where I'm at lately, I guess.
No, I feel you. I think I've said it multiple times on here, but I think it's not that everybody has to be a voice for the trans community if you have a platform, but as a trans person, sometimes it is hard to see someone who is trans not using that platform to help us, like
Yeah,
help the
yeah,
younger guys out a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I feel you on that.
exactly. Yeah, especially when they're like really popular, really attractive, because I think a lot of people don't see trans men as like being particularly attractive, but like we have really attractive guys,
Right.
available.
Yeah.
Um,
We have attractive guys available.
like
Take your
seeing
pick.
right, like seeing people who are doing well, and living successful lives. Like I think it's important for that visibility to be there.
100%. It's like, what's his name? Wesley Tucker. Do you know who Wesley
Yeah,
Tucker
he
is?
he God, he came to. I used to have such an issue with like how big his platform was, and he just like was so stealth all the time, and I was like, dude, like you could help so many people and
Mm-hmm.
like help so many of your followers realize that trans people are just like normal, can be super attractive, can be like do whatever.
Approachable.
Yeah, like it's like
Mhm.
And that man is like a Greek god. Like I don't understand.
yeah, I don't understand either, but
uh, yeah, no, and he's
maybe we'll
very,
all
very
get there
stealthy.
one day. Yeah.
Yes.
He's been posting more. He posted something for Trans Day of Visibility last year.
Okay, Slay. All right,
There we
that's good.
go.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
he
Baby steps.
casually posts,
Right. it's
Yeah.
it's a hard
Yeah.
argument because it's also like nobody is required to. Like you're allowed to be stealth,
Right.
obviously. Like
Yeah.
safety comes into it and everything too. So like you can't be mad, but it is just a little bit like, please
Like,
help
dude,
me.
you could change so many people's perspectives just
Right.
by like
Mhm.
being out.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
do you think you'd be as into content creation if you weren't trans?
I really don't think I would be, because I don't think I'd have anything to offer.
Mm.
I think right now there's so much to
Mhm.
offer to the trans community, but like if I wasn't trans, like I don't think I'd have anything that I was super passionate about that like would really make a difference in other people's lives.
I feel that 100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Because
And
I mean, I'm super passionate about what I do, like on Instagram, and like I'm super passionate about talking to people, and I love creating community. So like that's a big part of it for me too.
always in my mind, it's like, how could you not be? Like,
Yeah,
uh, if you're trans, I think it sets the narrative of like trans people hate themselves and don't want to talk about it
hmm,
when people have platforms and don't talk about it because like
yeah,
it's important to show the world that we're happy, we're not just surviving, you know what I mean? Like
right,
we're normal people. Like I don't know.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um but do you ever think that like because obviously it's important for trans people to be visible online and in the media and whatnot, but do you ever think that it's kind of a double-edged sword, like in the sense of the more information you give people, the more they have to use against you. Speaking of like transphobes and stuff.
I mean, yeah. So something that I really struggle with like transphobic people, especially like getting hate on my like content, is really just like it gives them, because if I didn't post that I was trans, like no one would know, and it's like I'm giving them fuel to add to the fire. But it's like I also know realistically, like if I didn't tell them, they would have no idea. And like they like to pretend like they do, but they would truly
Mhm.
have no idea. And it's like I can like they can make their argument all day long, but I can just respond with like, dude, if I didn't give you this information, you wouldn't have anything to like you would have nothing to use against me. So like whatever.
I YouTube Short is like a war zone out there with transphobic people, and I'll post clips from these episodes where I'm just talking about anything that has nothing to do with being trans. It's just a random conversation, and I look like a cis man, and my guest looks like a cis woman or a cis man, and I'll post it to YouTube Short, and I'll get these transphobic people who are like, "Yeah, dude, 100% agree with you." And then I'll post another video with me and the same person talking about something that has to do with being trans, and it's the same people in my comments being like, "You're fucking," and it's like, you liked me 2 seconds ago. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's such bullshit. Like honestly, like transphobic people's arguments are usually just so laughable, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But I think just like being able to have that humor about it is really important.
Yeah, and I said that not too long because Nate and I reacted to a bunch of hate comments that I got on a YouTube short, and we spent the entire time laughing, like, and just making fun of these people. It's on my
Yeah.
Patreon, but like, plug for anybody who wants to go check that
I was waiting for
out.
it.
But like, that's what you have to do. You have to
Yeah.
just laugh at it, because if I were to sit there by myself and like read through them and not laugh about it, oh, that gets dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Real fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think. Have you seen on like TikTok where like trans guys will like react to a hate comment they got, and the hate comment is like, "You'll never be a woman" or something?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Thank you,
It's
like, you're an idiot."
you almost got it. You were that close.
Like, you tried, sweetheart. You really
Oh
you
man.
gave it your best go.
It's honestly like part of it too is like when you get hate comments, it's like, okay, I'm reaching more audiences, I'm showing more visibility, you know, being visible to people who might not know much about trans people. And like maybe, I mean, you can't really bet on it or hope for it, but like maybe you did change someone's mind, you know, with that post or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, it's just you gotta look at it with the rose colored glasses, you know.
Right, 100%.
Mm.
Also, engagement is engagement. Like, you're
Right,
commenting on my
exactly.
stuff. It's
I'm getting views regardless.
exactly, exactly. Um, Now, have you really had to deal with like a good amount of hate online with your platforms?
It depends. Like sometimes people will get really relentless, and it's typically the same person who's like commenting, and I'll engage because I love to antagonize people. So like I'll engage.
Me too.
So you know, people will go and come in my DMs or they'll comment on my stuff, and like I'm going back and forth with them, and like I'm just antagonizing them to death, and it's just like, you know, it's really, it's, you know, I'm part of the problem because I engage so much, but for the most part, it's you know, I don't get that much hate. I depends, like if I'm really popping off on Instagram sometimes, like I'll get a lot more hate than like if I'm just casually posting.
Right. Yeah, me too. I think, I don't know. I don't think you're the problem for going back and forth with them. I think it's fucking hilarious, to be honest.
I mean, it's the only way
And,
to
like-
like find humor in it and to
Yeah.
have fun with it, you know.
100%.
I think it also shows that like we don't care what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, so just let it go. Like, just move on. There's bigger fish to fry
Right.
here.
Right. Truly.
I think I definitely pick and choose which ones I want to educate to. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have my moment where I'm like, okay, like I won't say foul shit to this person. I'll educate them. But there's other times, like one that's sticking out in my head right now. I had the same YouTube short I was talking about. It was titled "Cry About It" or something. It was talking about teaching kids about transness in school, and obviously that's something that's gonna get a lot of hate on it, and I know that.
Mhm.
And it was titled "Cry About It," and this person was just saying transphobic things. They were very unhappy with what me and Nate had to say, and it was like a long paragraph. And I was like, "You're literally crying about it. Like, this is you crying about it."
Dude.
And then he gave me another one, and I was like, "Cry baby." Like,
telling people to cry about it is my favorite like comeback to any hate, any like that is one of my favorite things to tell people. Like, God.
it's kind of like an Uno reverse card a little bit, because they call us snowflakes and they think that we get so upset about everything, where it's like, look at you though. Like, look at you.
Yeah, because they get
Look in a
really
mirror.
upset.
Right.
I mean, transphobes get really, really upset about stuff, and we're over here just like existing, chilling,
Right.
like living our lives.
Right.
You think that I'm upset at like the shit you say to me. Like, please, I've heard so much worse. Like, I'm
Yeah,
happy living my life,
exactly.
and you're so
Yeah.
worried about
Mhm.
me like ruining my body with hormones. Like, homie, I'm good. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I have a question that honestly is kind of for both of you, and it's kind of niche. But do you think like being uh a trans creator, does that bring you like gender euphoria, or is it just like plain out happiness, or is it nothing? Like, I mean, I know obviously you both like enjoy doing it, but
I mean, it's definitely affirming in a way. You know, you're getting a lot of
okay,
people who are like, "Oh, like you look great." Like, you know, you're getting a lot of validation.
okay, I
You
can see
know,
that.
so
Yeah.
it's, you know, the validation, especially in times when you're feeling really insecure about certain stuff, is really nice. I'm not gonna lie, but
Mm,
at the same time, I really just like to like I mean, I love storytelling. I love like writing on my posts. Like sometimes I'll get really deep and write like actually like really thoughtful stuff on my posts, and it's like that to me. I feel like when I can create in more of an artistic way, it's very like fulfilling to me, you know.
mm, mhm, mhm,
So I think overall, like it's my muse, you know, is, you know,
mm,
my transition is my muse. So it's, you know,
mhm.
it's hard to not get fulfillment out of content creating and sharing with people kind of how I feel and my feelings about different things and experiences that I have.
Sure,
I
sure.
100% agree with that. I Not many people know, but in the in the beginning of my transition, I was on TikTok, but before it was TikTok, I was on Musically. I was a little Musically boy.
Oh
Yes.
man.
You know, it's not something I like to think about. It was very cringy, and I hope nobody ever finds those videos ever. But
I'm gonna look
um
for him.
I was just thinking that. I was like, this might be my one time to go on Google.
yeah, they're bad. I tried to make sure everything was erased off the internet, but I think I used that because I would get, some validation from that, like, and I think I used that in the beginning of my transition as something to make me feel good and make me feel euphoric.
Mm,
But now I think it brings me so much joy and it fulfills me to do something I've always wanted to do with, taking
mhm.
my two favorite things, content creation and being trans, and making them into one thing and helping others too, I think is really important to me. But it's also fucking terrifying and like so scary. Like I'm still such a small creator, and it's so scary thinking you have like, I don't
A
know.
platform,
Yeah,
like straight up a platform.
it's
Hmm.
terrifying.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
comes. What's the age old quote? Come power comes responsibility,
Yeah,
or something
Mm.
like
Spider-Man.
that.
Great
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
comes from
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I'm trans. Got to bring up Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's I I agree with you. I think it's fulfilling as hell, but it's also scary as hell out here.
Yeah, 100%. It really is.
Um, that's pretty much it for this week. I know you gotta go somewhere at like 1:30, so I don't want to keep you too long. And I've been
Cool.
trying to make these episodes shorter, so this was absolutely perfect.
Sweet.
But before we go, your trans song of the week. Do you want to tell me what you picked?
Weekend by Mac Miller.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. I love that. I think I slept on Mac Miller for a hot
I
minute.
did
I won't
too.
I
I
won't
did
lie.
too.
I think a lot of
Same.
trans guys like Mac Miller too.
Yeah. Same energy. Same
Yeah,
energy.
yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Tell me why you picked this song.
It's just one of my favorite songs right now. Like it's
Period.
you know, like it's a bop. So I don't know. It's just it's a real positive, uplifting song, and that's how I like to perceive myself as positive and uplifting. So
Slay.
No, straight up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Much different from Nate's song that he chose when Nate's episode. Nate, what the fuck was your song, Nate? It was
Oh, I'm offended. Carry on, wayward son.
oh my god.
fucking dad
Yeah,
rock, bro.
Oh my
Dad
god.
rock.
always,
I played that
always
song
dad
on
rock.
Rock Band. I know it like
Yo,
word for
yeah.
word.
Yes, you get it, Logan.
All right. This has been great, Logan. Give me your socials so people can follow you.
It's at Brogan Lown Official, BROGANLOWN Official on Instagram.
Hell yeah. Nathan, give me those socials.
NDIORIO 1023
Awesome.
Instagram.
Both of your handles will be in the description below if anyone wants to follow you guys. And make sure you follow me at HRT Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. I post on there every single day. Follow or join the Discord community. We got a lot of people in there. I think it's like
a good time.
150 people in there now. The community is
Mhm.
growing, and there's a lot of great people in there who want to be with you through your transition, and it's free, so you don't have an excuse at this point. What's not free though is my Patreon. It's $5. If you want to help me out a little bit, I would appreciate that.
There is such good content.
There is, right? It's like such good content. And you're
Mhm.
truly missing out. Make sure you do that. And make sure you subscribe to me here. I post every Tuesday. And that's about it, guys. Logan, I appreciate you being on. And Nate, thank you for helping me today. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Of course. I will talk to you guys soon and see you next week. Bye.